Hey, Derek Keet, Remax Elite.
And Mark Demong here from 97th Street Law.
Thank you for being with us today, Mark.
Oh, my pleasure, Derek.
Awesome. And today we're talking about the simple or not simple, the steps for buyers. And what do they have to do related to the real estate lawyer? All right. Before we get started, please like, subscribe, give us that thumbs up. Thank you very much.
Once conditions are removed, that's normally when my office will get engaged with the client. We'll get a copy of the contract from the listing agent's conveyancing department, and then we'll get started on it. From a buyer's perspective, the two big steps are getting us the conveyancing data, the contract and other relevant information. In addition to that, getting the mortgage instructions. If a person is buying using funds from a mortgage company, then we'll need the actual formal instructions so that we know how to prepare the mortgage paperwork for the client to sign. Once we have those, then we'll get together with the client after we've got our paperwork ready for signing and we've completed our initial searches and inquiries.
Basically, you've got conditions removed, financing is there, they give you the documents. Then the idea is, of course, like confirming their identity, making sure that's lined up. And then the next step would be they have to make sure, the financing is going to come in time, right? Of course, before the possession date.
Right. And so generally speaking, we're meeting with our clients to sign that paperwork 4 to 5 days prior to the closing date. The balance of their down payment would be brought into my office, but there are also a couple of other things. There's the legal fee and disbursements, and often that's $1,600, so we would want the client to bring that payment together with the balance of the down payment.
Right.
And there's also a tax adjustment that's done if you're buying a single family dwelling, and the tax adjustment means that taxes for any particular year, we're in 2024 right now, taxes for the year aren't due and payable until June 30th.
Right.
If you're buying a property before June 30th, there's going to be an adjustment because the seller will reduce the purchase price by the amount that they would have paid if taxes were billed and paid daily.
So if whoever paid, basically breaking it up for the year, right? So the amount of time that over the year, like if the seller has paid all of the taxes for the whole year, then that money needs to go back to the seller, right?
That's right.
And then if they haven't paid their taxes, that amount has to, right?
Exactly. So
has
we
to be paid by the buyer
the
later.
other way. That's right. Yeah.
So if it's before June 30th, then they haven't paid the taxes for the year.
Right.
Okay.
And so there will be an adjustment against the purchase price on the day that you close the transaction.
When the funds are received, they're put into the trust account, being ready for them to be used, right? So then you kind of basically, as a lawyer, you guys order the funds, right?
That's right. And when the client brings funds in, that's a good point that we're getting to, I think, is that has to be brought to us by a certified check or a bank draft.
Right,
because we have to verify when I put funds into my trust account, I want to be able to that day draw those funds out. So it's got to be some form of verified funds.
Verified funds. And then the next step, actually, so after then the buyer's lawyer has to connect with the seller's lawyer, right?
That's right. Well, we would notify the seller's lawyer that we've been instructed on the transaction and that we're ready to close. At some point between first receiving the conveyancing instructions, the lawyer for the seller would be handing over documents to me, which would include a signed transfer of land. Now, the seller's lawyer would deliver those documents to me, another lawyer, on the basis of a number of formal conditions that we call trust conditions. Those conditions essentially require me, at the risk of my license to practice law in the province of Alberta and anywhere, that I cannot use those documents unless I'm prepared to pay the balance of the purchase price on the closing date.
Okay.
So having received those documents, I'm then in a position to take the signed documents from my client, including the mortgage document, along with the transfer of land, and I can submit those documents to the land titles office for registration. Because I can't close my file until I issue my final report, and that happens after I get the title back from the land titles office. These days it's about 3 weeks delay.
There's confirmation on both sides and everything's lined up, then everything's paid, and then the key is the key gets in there somewhere, yes?
So key gets released, right? So
Key release, yeah.
the way that the closing date goes from the lawyer's perspective is I'll take the documents that were signed at my client meeting and I do an interim report to the lender. That
Yep.
interim report is important because the lender looks at that and then says, yes, all of my conditions are met, or they'll indicate that there's a condition that's still outstanding or a problem with a particular document.
Okay,
So we
right.
would then correct that. Usually that happens about 48 hours before the scheduled closing. Generally speaking, that they indicate the payment must be made before noon. Once the payment is made, then the seller's lawyer would indicate to the listing realtor that the key can be released. So usually between noon and 1, that call is made to the listing realtor, and then my purchaser client can pick up the keys by meeting with their realtor. In this case, Derek, you would meet with them at the home with a bottle of champagne and everything else.
Nice
and,
key and ready to
absolutely.
go. Yes, to their new home. All right, well, thanks for listening, guys. Thanks. Have a great day. Take care.
See y'all next time.